Hi, this is Ms. Leo in the library, and by now in your literacy class, you've been discussing some of the themes of dystopian books, and now I'm going to book talk some of them. The first one is called The Testing, and you will have this PowerPoint available to your teacher, so if you want to watch the videos, you can. All right, so The Testing, this is perfect if you're a fan of The Hunger Games or Divergent, if you've read any of those. If you like books where there's a quest for survival and where things have gone wrong, this could be a book you want to try. This is the story of Sia, who lives in the United States in the future where things have gone wrong and fallen apart. Things are very rural now and spread out because there's not that many people still alive. You basically live in your small town, you stay there and work in the same career field as your parents. Very few people are offered opportunities beyond that. The government, however, is trying to build a society again, and they're trying to find the most talented people to work on this. So every year, high school seniors are given a test. And if you're one of the few who pass the test, then you get to go to the capital city and you will participate in additional testing. If you pass those additional tests, then you get to the opportunity for even more specialized training, and you get to be part of the government to rebuild society where you will make good money. No one in Sia's town has passed the initial test in a long time, not her brothers or anyone really that she knows. So it's a huge surprise when Sia and two other people from her hometown pass the test and are scheduled to go to the capital city for the next phase of testing. Sia is very excited, but the night before she's supposed to leave, her dad takes her out on a walk in the countryside and tells her that he also passed the testing when he was younger. And he doesn't remember what happened because when the testing is over, they erase your memories of it. But he still has a bad feeling about it. So he tells her when she gets to the capital not to trust anyone, not even the people from their hometown, and that he's really worried about her. So when she gets in her ride to the capital, she's worried, she's nervous, and she soon finds out that these feelings are well placed because when she gets there, she realizes her life is much more dangerous than she realized. So this is a great one, and it is the first book in a series. The next one is called Scythe by Neil Shusterman. And this is a book that will just grab you and make you want to keep on reading. This one takes place very far in the future, but unlike Hunger Games or The Testing or some other dystopian books, this one, things haven't gone wrong. In fact, the world is a really great place where technology has improved and has made the lives of people a lot better. So basically, if all the knowledge in the world is on the internet is joined into this artificial intelligence, and it's called the Thunderhead. The Thunderhead controls everything, and it has super computing powers. And when it looks around, it's able to gather so much data about humans, the earth, the environment. And so it's able to advance a lot of technology faster and better than humans can do themselves. The Thunderhead also realizes that it can advance medicine very quickly. So now it's almost impossible to die. For instance, they can resuscitate you for almost anything. You jump off a skyscraper, they can resuscitate you. You get in a horrible car accident, they can resuscitate you. And so it's essentially you can live forever. So when the Thunderhead first offered these medical upgrades to humans, it thought it would make everyone's life better because they wouldn't have to fear death anymore. And also, luckily for the humans, the Thunderhead managed resources very well, so there's plenty for all. But for some reason, humans then started becoming depressed. They started taking living for granted. So the Thunderhead realizes that it wants people to have joy in life. So there's got to be something done. So it comes up with this great plan. It recruits a group of people. They are essentially assassins, and their job is to assassinate or kill a certain number of people per month. They have to make a quota. And this assassination system works pretty well and it's been going on for a long time. Because the chances of dying are pretty slim, and everyone knows that, it's a small possibility that an assassin or scythe could come for you. But there are certain rules that go along with this that everyone has to follow. One of the rules is that if the assassin or scythe comes for you, you cannot resist. If you do, there will be dire consequences, not only for you, but also for your loved ones. So people just accept this and let it happen. Our story starts at the beginning of a school day with a kid named Rowan. He is a teenager. He's walking to school when a scythe stops him. Well, when a scythe stops you, you immediately assume, I'm going to die today. And so Rowan is very nervous, but then he finds out, oh no, the scythe is looking for the office because he is getting ready to pull someone out of class to kill them instead. Rowan is upset, even though it's not him, he still doesn't want this kid to be killed, and asks the assassin if he can stay in the room with this kid and comfort him before he dies. Well, this isn't something that ever happened. So he does make an impression on the scythe. Our other person that we meet at the very beginning is, her name is Citra. They're getting ready to sit down for dinner when the same scythe Faraday knocks on the door and asks to come in. He haws around, and they all know someone in the family is going to be dying that night, but ends up wanting to stay for dinner. And so this is the story of these two meeting the same scythe Faraday. They both make an impression on him, and now they are going to be training to become scythes. They find out it's very dangerous, and there's lots of action nonstop. This is the first book in a series, and I think you will like it. We have lots of copies. The next book is Legend by Marie Lu. This is action adventure dystopian book, and it takes place in the future US. Things aren't as bad as they are in some dystopian books, but they're not that great. There are two distinct classes in the story. One are the wealthy, and two, the poor, who are barely getting by. The first character's story is June. Her family's military. Her military brother is raising her because her parents, who were government workers, died when she was younger. When the story starts, June is getting ready to graduate from military school and assuming she will follow in her family's footsteps. Day is the other character, and unlike June, he's on the other side of the social spectrum. He's grown up very, very poor. The family struggles to survive. They never have enough food or any other basic necessities to get by. He is convinced that it doesn't have to be this way, and he thinks the government isn't being honest, and they're withholding food and supplies on purpose. This has caused him to do some things that make him the number one rebel in the city. He's being watched. So these two people who are opposite as can be meet one night when things are going bad. And once they're thrown together, they realize everything that they have been growing up with and told isn't true. So this is the first book in a series, lots of action. I think this one might be one for you too. The next one is called Matched. It's another book in a series. This one takes place in the future United States, but unlike in the Hunger Games or Divergent, everything is not falling apart and things are pretty normal, except the government monitors your life a whole lot more than it does now. No one minds because they feel the government cares for them. Cassia, our main character, lives in a tightly controlled world. Mates and jobs are predetermined, meaning everything is chosen for you. Food is delivered directly to everyone's home. Everyone wears the same clothing, and literature, art, and music have been reduced to a pre-selected best 100. So that's all there is. One thing the government noticed was that the divorce rates were very high, and they decided that many people didn't necessarily make good choices when it comes to relationships. I think you guys might know something about that. So they decided that they will track people from the time they're born, so they will know everything about them when they're ready to think about getting married, and then they will know who will be a good match. Cassia's parents did this, and they're happily married, and they have been for going on for a long time. So this is how it works. Sometime between your 16th and 17th birthday, you attend this big fancy dinner along with many other kids your age. At some point, they will call your name, you will stand up, and on a big projector screen in the front of the room, they will announce the name and show the face of the person you're going to marry at some point in the future, not right now. At the event, when Cassie's name is called, she stands up and her match is her best friend. This is something that never happens. Most people are, paired with a stranger. Cassie's surprised by this, and even though they've been best friends forever, there's no romantic tension or anything like that. Once you get your match, you get a flash drive with all the information about your future spouse. Even though she knows everything about him, she decides to look at the drive anyway to see what the government thinks she should do with her life and all of that. But when she puts the flash drive in, She's shocked because it's another guy that goes to her school that is supposedly her match. And she knows who he is, but she doesn't know him well. And this isn't something that ever happens. And so she doesn't know what to do. Um, and so she doesn't know whether she should keep this information a secret or what, but she does go track this kid named Xander out to see what he thinks they should do. And things aren't as they seem. So lots of action there. All right, Unwind by another one by Neil Shusterman. And I used to read this one out loud when I taught literacy, and even everyone loved it. So here's the story. Connor's our main character. And this one takes place in the future after there has been a second civil war, meaning a war between the states. And after many people were killed and parts of the United States destroyed, they decided that what they were going to do instead is that it was all about whether keeping kids and all of that. So what can happen now is that when you are between 13 and 18, your parents and guardians, they can decide whether they want to keep you or not. They can essentially donate you to the government and have you unwound. Now, I'm not going to tell you what this means. I want you to find out when you read it. There's an incredible scene that you won't forget. But I will tell you something you don't want to happen to you. So when the government first comes up with this and announces it, there are a lot of parents who are annoyed with their kids, and they have a choice then when they get sick of their kids, they can just send them away. So Connor is snooping around and he discovers that his parents are getting ready to send him to be unwound. And so he sits there and tries to figure out what to do. And he remembers that there is a loophole in the law. If you want to run away and are not caught by the government by your 18th birthday, the government will let you live. It's basically survival of the fittest. Connor is 16 and he decides that's what he's going to do. He's going to try to survive until he's 18. He throws some stuff in a backpack, heads to his girlfriend's house, who he assumes will want to run away with him. And she doesn't. She says, yeah, bye-bye. I'm breaking up with you now. So he trudges off. He really doesn't have a plan, doesn't have very many supplies, but it isn't long before he makes his first critical mistake. This is the first book in a series. Will Connor end up getting unwound? Read to find out. Our next one is Flawed. This one takes place in the future, and our main character is Celestine North. She lives a perfect life. She's a model daughter. She's a sister. She's loved by her classmates and teachers. She's dating the impossibly charming Art Crevin in this. And so everything's going well for her. She lives in a world where there are two kinds of people, flawed or perfects. If you're flawed and you've done something where the government didn't like, you get a brand, and you can see on the cover, that's what it looks like. They might put it on your face, your hand, your arm, your foot. Bottom line, though, it has to be out where society can see you to keep everybody segregated. The perfect people are not supposed to have any interactions with the flawed who live on the outskirts of town, whereas the perfect people live inside of town. Celestine is on the bus one day, and the flawed people have to sit in the back of the bus when one of the flawed people has a medical emergency. Now she's not supposed to interact with them, and she's got to think, do I interact with this person or not? And this sets the stage for this book and the next. So this one is Flawed. The Maze Runner, this one is always really popular. Our main character is Thomas, and he wakes up in an elevator remembering nothing but his name. He emerges into a world of about 60 teen boys who have learned to survive in a completely enclosed environment. They grow their own supplies, they grow their own food in this little area. And a new boy arrives every 30 days. The original group has been in the Glade, as they call it, for 2 years, trying to find a way to escape through a maze that surrounds the living space. They've almost begun to give up hope. Then a comatose girl arrives with a strange note, and their world begins to change. There are great fast-paced action scenes. Thomas is really likable. I think you might like this one too. Divergent. This takes place in the future, and it takes place in Chicago, where things have gone badly. And this is where you were born into one of 5 factions, each of which has its own strength and focus. And I'm going to probably mispronounce these because I forgot how to pronounce them. Abnegation is service, candor is truth, erudite is intellect, amity is friendship, dauntless is fearlessness. But on your 16th birthday, you can choose a new faction if you are so compelled. And that's what happens to Triss, who shocks everyone by exchanging the drab gray robes of abnegation for the piercing and tattoo stylings of dauntless. And then she has to be in a contest where only the top 10 initiates are accepted into the final group. So this one has a lot of action, 3-book, it's a trilogy. So that is Divergent. The Uglies. This one, and they've turned this one into a movie. Tally's our main character. She's about to turn 16. And when you turn 16, you get to have an operation where you are turned into a pretty. And you can have if you don't like your hands, anything on your body, skin, face, nose, teeth, anything can be redone. And so you plan it all out before you go. And then when you turn 16, you can have it all done. On her way from sneaking out to meet her boyfriend who had turned pretty a few months earlier, she went to the pretty side of town. She comes back and meets this girl named Shay. Shay chose not to be turned into a pretty and is living in a society that is miles away from the town and tries to convince Tally, you should not turn into a pretty. It's not what you think it is. So this one is called The Uglies, first book in a series. 2 quick ones, The Rule of One. The Rule of One, it takes place in the United States in the future where families are only permitted to have 1 child. And so 2 identical teens, Ava and Mira, break the law by simply existing. They are identical to the T. So the red-haired, green-eyed sisters function as one person in their hometown of Dallas. One day, Ava goes to school. And then she comes home, fills in Mira on everything that happened. Then the next day, Mira goes to school. And the other one lives in the basement. Then the next day, they have like a little compound. When one of the governor's grandson discovers their secret, the girls are forced to run, and they have to follow their dad's very cryptic instructions. And over the course of the week, the girls are crossing the desert. There's lots of action and adventure. And this one is the first book in a series. And then Survive the Dome. This one, Jamal is heading to his first protest in Baltimore. He wants to take pictures. He wants to be a journalist. And so he thinks this is going to boost his college applications. Once the protest, they think it starts getting a little bit turning into civil unrest. They have this new thing. It's called a dome, and it blocks everyone from outside of the city going in, except for the police. And everyone is stuck in the dome, and he is stuck in there with all these people. And so that one is Survive the Dome. These next 2 are basically companions, but it doesn't matter whether you read one or the other first. Basically, what has happened is the grid has shut down. Everyone's at school, and everything relying on computers shuts down. This means cars, everything, cell phones, everything. Nothing is working. And there is a global virus that has shut down the whole world's computers and all related technology. And so basically, as you can imagine, chaos ensues. Next one is Cinder. This is a dystopian spin on Cinderella. Life as we knew it, a meteor has hit the moon and changes everything, climate, everything. All right, we have other books that are on the cart. You will have a chance to look at all of those when you come down and check out books. But I know that you're going to love these dystopian books. And then also, you can also look at some of these in Destiny Discover. So that is it. And I know you're going to love this unit.